Back in 2019, we first learned about yet another new roller coaster planned for SeaWorld San Diego, this one set to open in 2021. After the pandemic, the plans were shelved, but once again they have emerged, this time with a planned opening of next year. And while the overall idea for the coaster remains the same, we have some big changes. So let's first catch you up to speed if you're unfamiliar with this project. SeaWorld San Diego is home to a simulator known as Wild Arctic. It's a pretty outdated experience. I only did it once and I was not a big fan, and clearly the other guests weren't either because the park has said, we don't want this ride anymore, it's not popular, low ridership, let's replace it with something better. So they're going to remove the physical simulator and use that as the station and queue for a new multi-launch coaster. This will be the park's third multi-launch coaster after Manta and Electric Eel, but this one will be the tamest of the three. That being said, I think it will actually round out their lineup pretty well. It'll be a good stepping stone. It's also going to deliver in a different ride experience because, to my understanding, it'll be using a similar train setup as Wavebreaker, the rescue coaster at SeaWorld San Antonio, which acts like you're riding a jet ski, or in this case, because it's Wild Arctic, maybe a snowmobile. Imagine you board your snowmobile, launch out, and you're riding along the track, staying low to the ground, like you're shredding across the snow. One of my favorite parts about riding a snowmobile is going from 0 to however fast you're able to accelerate off to. And so I love the concept of taking that idea and translating it to a roller coaster. Now, we mentioned that there were some changes to the layout. Originally, this article was posted by Behind the Thrills, showcasing a quad launch coaster. Now, it looks like that has been dialed back to a triple launch coaster. Was it because of budget cuts? Maybe. Or was it because they refined the layout a bit more and came up with something better? Also a possibility. Just because there's one less launch doesn't mean that it won't be as good of a ride experience. The layout is pretty much going to be made up of different side-to-side maneuvers, lots of transitions, maybe some small airtime hills, but the bottom line is that the coaster shouldn't get too tall, maybe around 30 feet or so. But it is worth noting that this new layout should feature two different 90-degree bank turns, which is very cool. Here you can see a side-to-side of the two different layouts, so you can really see how they've changed. The start of the ride is pretty similar with the first launch and those couple turns, but now it appears launch 2 is in the place of where launch 3 was, and launch 3 is now in the place of where launch 2 was. Those of you who have also been following along with Project Dark Coaster coming to Busch Gardens Williamsburg probably feel a bit of deja vu because this is definitely the sister coaster to that project. And if you want to learn more about Project Dark Coaster, definitely visit bgwfans.com. They have a whole article about it. That's also where we got this new refined layout. They released this information that they're able to acquire. I'll leave it in the description to where you can go learn more about it. But that project going to Busch Gardens Williamsburg is definitely on the tamer side. It's also completely indoors, so they had less space to work with, so it's going to actually go around twice. This will not be like that. The only section that will be indoors is the station and first launch. It might be in the style of actually Wavebreaker, where it kind of does a little show section, and that's where you take off. I really hope that's the case. Although the way that the new SeaWorld projects have been going, it seems like theming is definitely an afterthought and low priority. I would love to see them make it a priority for this, especially with the queue. Outside during the actual ride experience, I mean, whatever. It is taking up some space in the parking lot. It would be cool to put in some snow structures, but because you won't be able to see most of this ride from the actual park, I'm skeptical that they would do any of that. But I hope they at least make it look nice. But for those of you who have experienced Wavebreaker the rescue coaster, until Dark Coaster comes around, this is probably the closest ride that I would compare this to, but it is on the larger side. There you have a max height of about 61 feet. This will be about half the height, but maybe around a similar speed. I thought Wavebreaker was pretty tame. It was a good fit for that park, and I think that they would probably want to keep it around the same thrill level in order for people to work their way up from this to Manta. So assuming they end up using similar ride vehicles, same sort of track, you can expect this to be an Intamin. I imagine they would use tires to launch you. If they keep with the snowmobile theme, I could even see them going with like orange track. Because of where SeaWorld San Diego is, anytime they build something tall, it has to blend in with the sky, which is why everything is like a different shade of blue. But if this is staying low to the ground, they could probably give it whatever color scheme they want. It would probably just need to stay below the tree line. But if on the off chance that it is too tall for that, then yeah, it'll probably also be blue. Although, I do think it would be pretty cool if it was white. You have some snowmobile looking vehicles and then white track as you're going along, like snow. But we'll have to wait and see. But overall, I do think this will be a great fit for the park. It's cool to see them adding another roller coaster just a year after Emperor, unless for whatever reason this gets pushed back and then it's delayed a year. But as of right now, this will be one of 3 different roller coasters coming to the SeaWorld parks next year, in addition to Project Penguin at SeaWorld Orlando and Project Dark Coaster at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. So I'm excited to learn more about this as time goes on. If all goes according to plan, we should be hearing an official announcement later this year. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this video. And of course, stay tuned for more rumors and news updates here at Coaster Studios, and we'll see you next time.